Hello, everybody. WeebrabbitGaming here, and welcome back to the Otaku Overload episode 8. We're still in the middle of the December season. In fact, by the time this goes up, I think it should be right after Christmas. So if you guys celebrate Christmas, I just want to say, happy holidays. Merry Christmas to all of you. Hopefully you had a good little holiday with your friends, family, whoever you spend it with. Yeah, we're still, out here recording and I don't know, just trying to do our hustle and stuff, trying to get stuff done before the year ends. With me as always is the Legend of Jonathan. Say hello, Legend of Jonathan. How
Yo,
are you
what's up?
doing?
What's up, guys? I'm doing good. Yeah, like he said, this is gonna come out after like Christmas and the holidays. So, happy late holidays and Christmas to everyone. And yeah, I'm excited to be here. I'm doing good. How
Nice,
about
nice,
you?
nice. It's kind of funny because you think about it. That means our episode 9 will be it'll be like right on right after New Year's. If you think about it,
Hmm.
that's just the way this thing works. But it's kind of funny to think about. But yeah, like I said, it's exciting. Being so close to the end of the year, being close to the holidays, all that good stuff. But I'm excited, and I don't know. I'm just really enjoying doing this podcast. It's fun to just know that another episode's gonna go out, and that people will get to listen to it. Hopefully, after like that little nice holiday with their families or friends or
Friends,
whoever.
yeah.
Alrighty, but yeah, we have a pretty good week this week. I think we did a bit more, which we had kind of promised that we have more to talk about. So that's
Yep.
good. So as always, why don't you take it away so you can share your week first? Go ahead.
Okay, so same thing as always. I mean, I always started off the same way. So yeah, I watched Urusei Yatsura as always. This episode, dude, like it was like the most nastiest. The first half was so nasty. So basically, like that dude Mendo, the guy who is voiced by Riku's Japanese voice actor, basically his younger sister goes to visit him. But the thing is that she's a prankster and she basically like she's such an asshole towards people. So the pranks she does are very bad. She does this purposely. Because they're rich people, she has her bodyguards carry her in an ox cart for 5 days from Monday to like Friday. And so she's like, yeah, I came here to give you like your lunchbox, blah, blah, blah. And then that's when he's like, wait a minute, you're saying that this is like from Monday? And she's like, yeah. And so he's like, you're like, what's inside of there? And it's fish.
Ugh.
But then when they open the box, it has like you can see it's all nasty looking, and then it's gross too because you can hear like the noises and everything.
Oh god, so it was like really well animated,
Yeah,
really well
yeah, like yeah.
good audio.
And then she's like, "Oh, but you're like my older brother, blah blah blah. So I have to like feed it to you, blah blah." And she's gonna do it, right? And then on purpose, he pushes her away. So he's like, "No, like I don't want to eat it." And then so she starts pretending that she's crying and that she's so hurt by her older brother that she looks up to, supposedly, quote
Oh my
unquote.
god,
Yeah,
like
and
totally guilt
everyone,
tripping him or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah, everyone doesn't believe it. Which that's the thing that's surprising in the original one. Everyone believed it, but here no one believed it, thankfully. And um basically, yeah, she's like she's crying about it. He's like, obviously not. Who the hell would want to eat that? And it's gross because it falls on the floor. And then you
Uh,
get to the voice actress. She does this on purpose to give more like characterization. She narrates the noise, so she's like whoosh, 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 and it just like keeps falling. Like it just repeats that same clip. And I'm like, that's nasty. And I was so grossed out. And then Ataro being the simp he is, because like he really is like a freaking like he's always so like weird and stuff with girls and stuff. He's like, no man, I'll eat the fish for you, blah blah blah, because I don't
oh
want to,
god,
I don't,
why?
because he's so disgusting and retarded. Because he is.
Uh,
Yeah, so he tries to eat it, but then Lum's like, no, man. Like you think that she's like jealous and that she's not gonna like kind of like the stuff. And she's like, yeah, but like I'm your wife, so I'm gonna like feed it to you. And I'm like, why are you gonna do that? You're such an asshole.
that's the part that was bothering him. Like, no, I need to feed it to you. That's the part that.
Yeah. And then like when the girl's like, no, I should like feed it to you though, because I brought it here. That's when they start getting jealous because the fact that, oh no, like who gets to feed him type of thing. But then it's nasty because then Lum like slams his face into the food and then you can hear the splat, and I'm just like, no. It's
Yeah,
so
there's
gross.
stuff where sometimes things are like too well animated or like the sound is too good, kind of grosses you
Yeah,
out.
it was so nasty. The animation and everything was too. And then the second half, it was about Mendo's family in general, like his dad, his mom, and his sister.
So it's kind of a Mendo focused episode. That's
Yeah,
funny.
basically he invited his classmates to his house, and since he's like a rich family, this huge plot of land was basically his room. But what was crazy is because it was a New Year's party, and oh my God, this is like one of the weird, like it was basically like the equivalent of Mario Party. Basically, they were invited to party, right? By like I think Mendo and his sister, because his sister invited some of the people. Basically, there's there's like the arrows on the floor, kind of like a board, and they start getting pranked, and every single person that was invited, including like Lum's friends, because they showed up out of nowhere, basically they get dragged into this whole thing where yeah, you basically like if they end up in a room, they have to do something. If they end up in another room, they get frozen or they get hit by like a giant like metal ball that can kill them, blah blah blah.
What the hell?
And basically in the background you see these clips and it shows Mendo's dad, mom, and sister. They're playing a board game that has different pieces of the different characters, and they're basically playing out every little thing they're doing.
That's weird.
And I
What the
was like,
hell?
dude, I was like, these people are legit playing Urusei Yatsura party over here. And
That's weird.
and so it was such a creep. It was crazy. And then there's a part where like Mendo's dad on purpose, he tries to make it so it's like, oh yeah, like you're claustrophobic and nitrophobic. And then the girl that because he doesn't Mendo tries to be like oh like I'm such a cool guy, blah blah. He tries to show off in front of girls. He does is the moment he's in a room by himself that's dark and closed off, he starts freaking out. And the dad wanted to do that on purpose. But the thing is that Mendo, I mean, that girl, she's like, I already know you're claustrophobic and nitrophobic because of the other episode. So she's like, yeah, like you don't have to worry. But then he interrupts her each time she's about to explain.
Oh
So like,
wow.
it's just like, come on. But yeah, it was such a weird, like, that episode was such a weird one. And it ends off that basically she like blows him up.
Okay.
Basically, she ends the game where she puts a space that says make pretty fireworks, and basically they end up in the quote unquote party room where they were playing the game, and basically there's a rocket below the board, and basically they get launched into the freaking sky. And then she's like, oh my God, such beautiful fireworks, and it says New Year's, but everyone got blown up.
Okay. What a weird.
Yeah, like she's such an asshole. It's such a weird and like I'm telling you, it's such a weird episode.
It
And so
sounds
yeah,
like it's
that's
like not. It sounds like it's like not really even like canon. Like it's not supposed to be taken seriously. Like it's just kind of like a gag episode or something.
but the thing is like it's not that like no, like it feels like because that's the thing, all of the episodes are always like silly anyways. But this one was just such a weird, like it was like an acid trip. That's what I'll say.
That's what I'm saying. It feels like it's like not
Yeah,
canon. Like it's
like
just
a
a
filler,
gag
like
episode.
filler.
Like literally just gag episode. Like
Yeah.
huh?
Uh
Weird.
that was super gross. And then okay, so this is the next thing I did. I'm done with first say. Um well actually yeah, I am. I was gonna mention something else, but no. I got to episode 3, 4, and 5 of Sonic Prime.
Oh, cool. That's good.
I thought they were pretty cool. I liked them. Um,
Because before you had only done like 1 and 2, right? So
yeah,
that's cool. So you got to see some of the alternate worlds now.
hmm
That's fun. What did you think of the alternate worlds that you saw?
I thought they were pretty. I thought it was pretty cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
especially the
it's fun to just see them in different like environments and with
and
different
the
like
way that they
names and
yeah,
costumes and stuff. It's cool. Huh? It's fun.
hmm
I liked it.
yeah, like Thor and Rose. That's the name of the because 4 and 5, I think they focus on. Yeah, 4 and 5 focus on
It's like a jungle sort of
like a
thing.
jungle situation. Yeah, I thought
Yeah.
that was pretty interesting. Um, I like how freaking like it's so crazy because I feel like I'm kind of like dumb when I'm watching it too, kind of like Sonic, because Sonic acts kind of weird here too. Basically, I was like, what? It shows like the flashbacks, right? And I'm like, what does this even mean? Like, I'm trying to understand what the situation is. Why is it that Sonic didn't understand it? Because Amy's like, oh, of course he doesn't like know or he doesn't understand. I'm like, what's going on? Like, is this her trying to show her love for him? Like, what was it? It was like, no, it's because the point is like that whole thing was him learning, that basically when she's like, oh yeah, these are memories, blah, blah, it's that basically she was trying to show him like, hey, appreciate the fact that you have all these friends. And I didn't get that until
Yeah,
like
that's kind
that.
of what I
Yeah.
mentioned last time when I was going a little more in depth.
Hmm.
That's kind of what I was saying that yeah, you can tell he's like a Sonic that he kind of took his friends for granted a little bit. Like when they're all
Hmm.
supposed to go fight, he kind of is like, oh, I'm gonna go do my own thing.
Or
Remember
I'm
that
gonna
totally that was
go,
kind of an
yeah,
example.
and he's gonna go get rings, but then like,
Yeah, then
he
here
gets caught
we
up in other
see yeah,
stuff.
we see those other examples that he kind of maybe wasn't always paying as much attention to his friends as like he should have, you know what I
Hmm.
mean? So it
Yeah.
kind of reinforces it in that episode you're talking about, yeah.
Hmm. And then New York City, I thought was pretty cool. What else about New York City? I like the council, the Chaos Council. I saw somewhere people were saying that it seems like each of the Eggmans, they're like a different part of like the original Eggman, the way he is. But at the
Yeah.
same time, I feel like it is a bit of an exaggeration with certain stuff. Like the old one, someone's like, oh, it's like all of like Eggman's life experience, blah blah blah. But I'm like, Eggman's not that old though. Like I don't feel like he's that of an.
Yeah,
I don't feel like that's.
like
Yeah, I
I
don't
feel
feel
like
like
maybe
he's that
it's
much of
supposed
an
to
expert.
represent something like that, but I think maybe nah, maybe not like
Or
I don't
maybe it's
know.
like saying that he's wise or that it's like his lazy half because you know how he falls asleep a lot.
Yeah, I think
Maybe it has to
I
do with
think it's
some.
meant to be more simple. I think it's supposed to be that
Mhm.
like deep.
Well, if Doctor Mr. Dr. Eggman, I feel like that makes more sense where that really is kind of like Eggman from like the games, like the like Genesis to like Dreamcast.
Yeah, it
Kind
seems
of
more
like,
like that seems more like the base Eggman out of
yeah,
all of them.
base. And then the baby one that people were saying that makes more sense that that's like the more immature side of him, where he's like, oh, like Sonic beat me again, blah blah. Like someone says like that might make more sense though, because you know, Eggman does cry a lot when he gets his ass beat.
Yeah,
So people,
yeah, it has like a
yeah.
tantrum sort of thing. So yeah, that
Hmm.
makes
Yeah,
sense.
he
Yeah.
always freaks out. He gets mad. And then obviously this one feels kind of the same thing where it's kind of like weird, but it does make more sense. Someone was saying that Dr. Deep and Dr. Don't, that's the name of the kid one, that they might have to do with like Dr. Deep is more of like that like part of Eggman that thinks like, oh, I'm so cool and like my philosophy and all that stuff. Because you know how he always like lives by a certain like
Yeah, yeah.
philosophy and style. So like maybe that's kind of like where it makes more sense. And then same thing with Dr. Don't. People are saying that it feels like he's more of like Eggman's like tech side where he's like, oh yeah, I definitely know how to protect like the system. I definitely know how to make all these robots. Like people are saying that that's probably like the personality traits of like each of those characters are like a different personality trait,
Yeah,
basically.
we'll probably know more as more episodes come
As the
out, you
series
know.
comes out, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, see, that's only been a few episodes. There's supposed to be
Hmm.
more. That's right. Oh, that's something I wanted to clarify too. I thought that it was only 8 episodes for the first season.
Yeah,
Somewhere I saw people talking about it. No, the first season is supposed to be like 20 episodes. I don't remember where I
yeah.
saw. So there's only like a third of the whole first season. There's supposed to be more, which actually surprised me. I thought the whole first season was 8 episodes, and we didn't know about season 2 and 3 for yet. But no, apparently season one
It's
is
just
gonna
for
be like 20
releasing them in
something.
batches. Okay.
Yeah, so season one's actually like 20 something episodes, and then we'll see if they do a season 2 and 3. So yeah, we're gonna get a lot more episodes than I thought, which is actually pretty cool. I
I,
kind of
I, I
I
I
didn't know
feel like
that.
this, yeah. I think this series is gonna be a success. I can tell. People
Yeah,
were talking
it
a
looked
lot
like
of good
people really
stuff.
liked it. The day it came out, like that like first like week or whatever, I saw a lot of memes and people talking about it
Hmm.
and stuff. So,
Like
hopefully it does good, you know.
what's his name? Jacksepticeye. He does a character in like the later episodes, which I haven't got to, the last three. But it was so cool because he does the character. I think it's like a pirate character or something like that. And
Mm.
then something else I liked is like the references to like the other cartoons and the games. Like there was the one where I mean I'm not saying that Amy isn't like that, but Sonic at one point he's like, Amy would usually say, we need to talk about our feelings. And people were talking about how in the other cartoon, she's like, you guys need to talk about your feelings. And then Sonic's like,
Oh, the boom,
yeah,
yeah,
he's like, I hate it. No, when you live here, It makes me angry. Also, you're a terrible roommate and everyone hates you.
Oh yeah, we talking to
Yeah,
Big Man. I remember that. Yeah,
yeah,
that's
that was
funny.
such a good. It was such a
Yeah, that's
funny
funny. That's funny.
because he sounds so like he's trying not to be an asshole, but then at
Yeah,
the
but he
same
just
time
does it
he's
anyway.
intentionally, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and then another thing was that because I'm going off, I'm continuing to other stuff. Um, Basically, yeah, I was just finishing up school, so I just watched a few Christmas movies, which is pretty cool, in time for the holidays.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, yeah.
Um,
It's that time.
so yeah, I watched which is funny because I don't understand how I keep forgetting the freaking Santa Claus movie, the one for with Tim Allen. I keep forgetting that the whole point is that he basically signed a contract, and I never understood it. It always clicks each time I watch
You
it.
know, that's why it's called Santa Claus and
It's
spelled with an E.
it's yeah, with not like the actual, yeah.
Yeah.
So I watched that and I watched some other stuff. Um, and then another thing I did was I caught up on the Dragon Ball manga with like Goten and Trunks. Um,
That's cool.
it's pretty good. What I think is dumb is that people are kind of mad because the way Trunks acts is different from future Trunks. But literally,
But that's
like
he's a
even
different person.
yeah, exactly. And someone even mentioned they're like, dude, literally like this Trunks is living a way better life than the other one. Someone's like literally talking about the fact that even like Goten, I think he mentions in the manga that you can tell he's the one that kind of remembers the whole future Trunks thing more. He even says, dude, it's better that we're living in like peaceful times. He even says that at one point because Trunks is like, oh, I wish we had like super guys to like fight against. And
Yeah.
then Goten, who loves to fight too, he's kind of like, no, dude, like it's better that we just live our peaceful life. Like,
Yeah, yeah. That's so dumb. It's a different Trunks. Like that doesn't make sense. You
yeah,
can't say, like, oh, he's too different from the other one. It's just they're different people.
yeah. And then
Like
another
one
thing
of them is
too,
literally from a future where everything's been destroyed. He had no
and
friends growing up.
yeah,
His
everyone
mentor
died.
died in
Yeah,
front of him and stuff. And the other one, and he becomes like a space cop, and the other one's like literally a kid that grew up as a kid next to his like best friend, and he's never had to like deal with anything. Like
yeah.
that's so
And then
silly.
people were even saying like, oh yeah, this one's a pussy because like he's scared of Ghost and blah blah blah. And then like yeah, when he fuses with Go Tanks, he makes Ghost. And someone's like, that's called PTSD. Like people do that a lot where like they're scared of something, but if somehow they like a character takes advantage of that situation, you'll see that they use it in other stuff. Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's so
That's
dumb.
oh man, people always have such weird
And it's
takes. Like
like
it's a
people,
different
yeah.
person. No shit,
And
he's
then
gonna have a
they
different
were they
personality.
were mad because apparently he's so dumb because they mentioned too that he doesn't know how to use a computer, and same thing with Goten that he kind of knows how to use it more. And someone's like, same thing, it's a different Trunks. Like, I get it because the point is like, oh, Bulma's the smartest human, so her son must be smart too. But I'm like, but he's a teenager. Plus, like, I don't know, like Trunks and Goten have always been slackers too.
I don't know, for
Like,
reals, right?
yeah, like I don't think that these kids really like, even though they probably like video games and computers, they're the type of kids that probably wouldn't be paying attention and they just wander off somewhere. It's like, oh, never mind.
Yeah, for reals,
Yeah.
yeah.
And and the same thing that they showed, like, which we already mentioned the whole thing with the oh my God, there's an actual like good depictions of African American people or
Oh yeah.
Africans in
I can remember
yeah.
that.
People are like, oh, this girl, the African one, they're like, she should like date like Trunks because Mai's too old for him. And I'm
Oh
like, but
yeah,
she
I
turned
saw
into
it
a
takes two,
kid.
and I'm like, but it's a different drugs.
I'm like, different Trunks. I'm like, one, she turned into a little girl, which like, so mentally maybe she is old, but like youthfully, like, yeah, body wise,
I don't
she's a
know. That's like a
kid.
whole thing. I'm not gonna get into it.
Yeah,
It's just
I don't want to
weird.
get into it either.
That's
Yeah,
why that's the thing that when it's fiction, like I don't know, man, it doesn't matter because it's fiction. I don't know, man. Stop
yeah.
overthinking it. I don't know, man. But the point is that it's a different trunk. It's so stupid. People say that, oh yeah, because that would be more appropriate. Like, it's a different trunks. The other trunks would
And
still be
plus,
with
like, you
my.
can, yeah, and then plus, like, people were talking about that, and I'm like, dude, you can tell that they're trying to do this on purpose to build up their characters. And that's probably the reason why they're putting out all these flaws because if they wouldn't be doing this at the beginning, like that too. You know what I'm saying? Because yeah, there's a
Yeah.
part where he's fighting against like those weird zombie android things or whatever, and he's like, "Oh my God, should I like be fighting these guys or should I be like on a date with Mai or some dumb thing like that?" And I'm like, dude, like,
Oh, wow.
anyways, other than catching up with the manga, I've actually been catching up on the original Dragon Ball because
Mm.
like I've watched it before, but like English dub. Um, Here I've been watching all the episodes and I've gotten up to like the tournament part where Goku and Krillin are training under Master Roshi.
Yeah.
And oh my God, dude, it's actually great watching the episodes like the whole way, actually. Especially because it's funny too, because like you're not used to like the Japanese voices, but then you're used to them at the same time. So you're just
Yeah, so
kind of
it's like
like,
super different
yeah.
experience.
And then like Krillin's voice actress, she's the same one as Luffy and Yajirobe.
Oh yeah, I heard about that. Yeah.
hmm And then his voice actress also did the voice of a character from Urusei. So when I was watching Urusei, I'm like, wow, this voice sounds kind of familiar. And then later when I looked it up, it said right there on the front page that she was known for doing that character, but she was literally known for doing Krillin, Yajirobe, and Luffy. So I was like, oh,
Oh,
that's
that's
super
funny.
cool.
Yeah, it's just weird hearing all those voices then a bunch of like repeats and like in
hmm
different stuff. That's pretty funny actually.
Yeah, so it was super cool. And then it's always cool seeing that freaking dumbass Roshi, he's always being so perverted, and he'll say like dumb terms that only like they use over there.
Oh my
So, for
God.
example, for like big boobs, instead of saying like, "Oh yeah, bring me a beautiful woman or big boob lady," he's like, "Yeah, I want you to bring me a young peachy girl," and he does like the freaking like squishing against his face thing,
Oh my
and I'm like,
God.
dude, like this freaking old man.
Oh my God. It's so
Yeah,
weird.
it's so weird. And then I love how here, because the subtitles they don't censor it, like they don't care. Literally, he's like, yeah, ask her to like if she can like let me like see her blah 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 like the stuff. And then freaking in the English version, I remember Goku's like, ask that girl if if she wants to go on a walk with me because they try to censor it obviously because
Oh, I got you.
yeah, for
Yeah.
obvious reasons.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just funny that they really just throw the stuff at you. And if anything, that's kind of what I like because like one, it shows the flaws of the anime, like the stuff where it's like it's outdated stuff. But two, it just feels good because I actually know what the actual characters are like. And instead of hiding it and be like, oh yeah, here's this moment where like we know he's being perverted, but he's trying to be like more like innocent sounding. I like the fact that they just open the gates and they're like, yeah, no, he's 100% a pervert here. Like that's what I actually like.
Yeah, it's like more real. It's more,
Mhm.
yeah, I got
And
you.
then I like the part where Goku takes those rabbit people to like the moon, and then the fact that they always blow up the moon in Dragon Ball. So I'm like, dude, those guys are dead.
Oh, for reals.
Yeah. So
Yeah, there's no way
I'm
those
like
rabbits are still alive.
that rabbit gang is definitely dead.
For reals, huh? Damn, that they didn't stand a chance. For reals, damn.
Yeah. And I like how in the Japanese English version, he basically just says that he took them to the moon to make marshmallows and they promised to actually do it. But in the Japanese implication, it's basically that he forced them by literal force to make mochi on the moon. So I'm like, damn.
Yeah, it's
And
mochi. It's
it's
mochi
mochi.
yeah,
Yeah.
Japanese. That's funny.
Yeah. I'm like, wow. So yeah, that's what I've been catching up on. And yeah, my week was pretty fun. I'm just ready for the holidays.
That sounds pretty cool. Sounds like yeah, you did quite a bit. A lot of just watching stuff, catching up on stuff. That's fun. It's always nice to catch up on stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like to do that too. I like to watch stuff. Sometimes if I already like watched it originally, like in Japanese as it was coming out.
You watch it
Then as
dubbed,
soon
yeah.
as then when the dub comes out, I might watch the dub just to see like the difference or whatever. And I
hmm
like it. I think it's fun to do that. I did it with the Konosuba. Um, I did it with. Because it was probably the one that stands out to me the most because I was just really rooting for the people who were like voicing those characters. But I've done it
Yeah.
with well no it's different because JoJo I actually watched in English because I really wanted to um oh my God I'm blanking on her name I always know her name I'm forgetting the name of the girl who played Jolene and I always have her name in mind. Oh my God. um
Huh.
oh I feel so embarrassed. I let me look it up real quick. What's her name? I always have her name in my mind, and I was like rooting for her because she had said she wanted to play Jolene. It was like a lifelong dream of hers. And now that I'm trying to like talk about her for her name. What is her name? Oh my God, it's
Damn.
so embarrassing. Um, oh my God, hold on. Who played Jolene? Jolene. Let me just Google it real quick because the point
Danny.
is, Jolene is played in English by. Why is it not
Wow.
coming out? It's just showing me like it's just showing me like figurines and stuff of her instead of like the actual stuff where it has her info. God dang it. Hold on. Oh my god, why can't I remember that voice actress's name? I've always had her name on my mind. And the one time I need to like say the voice actress's name, I can't remember her name.
Dude, why are
This
they
is so
refusing to
embarrassing.
show you?
Oh my god, this
Oh,
is so
oh,
embarrassing.
it's it right there.
Hmm. Oh my god, this is so dumb. Like I'm
Yeah,
trying to look it
you
up.
probably want to go back to the wiki actually.
It's so dumb because I want to like look it up, and instead it just keeps showing me like figurines and stuff of her. It's what the hell? That's not what I want.
Got
What is this actress's name? I can't believe I've always
Kira
known her name and I can't remember it right now.
Kira Bucklet land.
Yes, Kira Buckland. Oh my god, freak! I can't believe I couldn't remember Kira Buckland's name. I love Kira Buckland, especially because I love her because she's the one who voiced 2B in Nier Automata.
Oh, that's cool.
So that's where I kind of discovered her because I really liked the voice actors for Nier Automata. Kira Buckland, who plays 2B, and Kyle McCarley, who plays 9S. I think they both did a really good job. And from there, I kind of looked at what some of the other stuff they had done was, and that's where I learned about Kira Buckland, some of the other stuff she's done. And then that's where I discovered she was in a it had always been her dream to play 𝐥𝐤𝐤. And I kind of went off on a tangent. I can't believe I forgot her name. That's so embarrassing. But the point is that yeah, that's how I was saying that this was a little different because I watched it in English for her. But I was trying to say the same thing as you, where sometimes like I went back and watched 𝐭𝐻. I went back and watched the
Yeah,
like Miss Nagatoro, the Uzaki-chan wants to hang out, Komi-san can't communicate, stuff like that. That if it has an English dub, I'll go back and watch it just to see what it feels like in English.
yeah,
Just for like the fun of it, and that's fun.
yeah. Oh, I just remembered something actually. Um, that's what I was trying to remember. Urusei Yatsura, the remake. I literally looked on the wiki. It says it's gonna get an English dub,
Oh, is it?
but it just never confirmed when it's gonna get one or who's gonna voice her or anything like Lum. But it says that it's gonna be dubbed by Sentai Films or something like that. It's called,
Oh,
and
cool.
that's gonna be the people who are gonna dub. That's like the remake.
That's cool because we had mentioned it before. I think just last week, huh, that I asked you if you had
Hmm.
checked it out. And you said there wasn't one, and I was surprised, and we talked about it. So that's cool. Yeah, I think they're probably gonna wait until the season's probably over. Watch.
Hmm. And I'm definitely gonna watch it in English because, like,
Yeah, like
here's
I
the
said,
thing: I
it's just kind of
watched.
fun to just see how
Hmm.
it's different. And I don't know if it's like a good voice
Yeah,
actors. I like to support them too. If it's like someone I recognize,
yeah,
it's kind of fun to be like, oh, I'm gonna watch it to see how they do. And
yeah. Because I was gonna say, like, each of the Urusei movies, I've watched them in English.
yeah,
That's how I done it because the fact that they don't have like the anime doesn't have an official dub. I just watched the movies because they have an official dub for each of the movies.
yeah, it's kind of funny. Oh,
Yeah,
speaking of which, this kind of ties into one of the things I did. Well, the first thing we'll get to this. I'll put it on hold for a second. One of the things I did this week is that I played more of Pokemon Scarlet.
let's go.
I hadn't like really picked it up in a while, but I got like really into it this last like week or two. And yeah, I'm pretty far into it, or I have done like 6 of the gyms.
Damn.
Out of the herbs you got to get to help that guy, because there's like the mission we have to like, get those herbs from like the giant Pokemon. I only
Mhm.
need one more. And out of the, I think it's like 5 bases that you have to like beat the bosses to help it's called like Operation Starfall, is to stop that Team Star, which are like the delinquents. I think I
Yeah.
also need like one more too.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yes, I'm pretty far. I need like one base, one of the herbs, 2 more gyms, I guess. And I've just caught a whole bunch of Pokemon. I was doing that. I was just wandering everywhere catching Pokemon. For a while, I was just because I guess it really does depend on what gym you go to. Because instead of, you think it would be like, oh, it bases on what level you are, what gym is like the strongest or whatever. But no, it
Yeah.
really does do it kind of like the original games. Even though you can go anywhere you want, it still does it kind of like the original ones where it's like, oh,
It restricts you.
this area is all like area 50, everything around it, for instance.
Yeah.
So you can get there whenever you want, but you're gonna have trouble because everything's gonna be really strong.
Yeah.
And so I went to a gym that was kind of strong, and I was like really under leveled. I'm like, damn, I'm not gonna be able to beat it. So I went to like a different area of the map, did that gym that was like a little lower leveled, But then it was funny because like even though it says like, oh, you have like at the time I think I had like 4 or 5 like badges, and it said like you can like command Pokemon up to level like 40. A lot of my
Yeah.
Pokemon were like level 45. I think my starter was like level 50 at the time.
Damn.
I don't know how I was paying attention to me. It was like really funny. But yeah, I went farther now, and I continue to just really enjoy it. And I also applied that first like patch, like that first update, and it looks like it
Yeah.
does help quite a bit.
That's pretty good.
Because there used to be like a lot of like stuttering like on the overworld and
Yeah.
stuff, and it
And
looks
the
like it really
graphics
does
were
help with
horrible.
performance. It doesn't help with everything. There's still some like really bad textures, and like a lot of like the NPCs still look like they're walking around like 2 frames a second. But at least it helps
Yeah.
with like the stuttering, and like it helps quite a
All
bit at
that stuff.
least.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if they kept working at it and adding more patches, I think it would like updates. I think it would work.
Hmm.
But at least it's been fun so far. So.
Mojo Jojo.
And the next thing I want to talk about, this is where the whole voice acting thing comes in because it's kind of funny. We're talking about voice acting, and I said, about supporting certain voice actors. Oh my God. So I have been playing quite a bit of Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion. And
Let's go.
speaking of like the whole voice acting thing, you kind of get used to it. Honestly, although then again, I've been skipping a lot of the cutscenes. Honestly, I've been just like doing a lot of the fighting and skipping a lot of cutscenes, especially because I've already played the game before. But oh man, it's kind of rough. Zach's new voice actor. That's what I'm trying to get at.
You're not used to it, huh?
Like you kind of get used to it, and I swear there's times where he doesn't sound as bad. I swear it's like certain lines where he just sounds like kind of like too like nasally and high pitched, and there's other ones where he doesn't sound as bad. And like I said, I don't know, maybe it's because I kind of get used to it, or maybe it's because some lines are better than others. Maybe it's because I'm skipping all the cutscenes. I don't know.
Yeah.
But regardless, though, the point still stands that like, yeah, he's not great. I think people were even saying if you look at like his credits, I think he doesn't have that many voice acting credits. I think it was kind of a bad idea to give him such a big like
Roll.
role. Like nothing against the guy, but it feels like when you're a starter, they should give like some smaller roles, and then you can lead up to having like, your big break after like a few
Hmm.
titles. And this guy, yeah, this is like one of like his like I think I'm not gonna remember at the moment, but someone somewhere mentioned how many roles he had, and yeah, he does not have a lot of roles, and so it's
Damn.
really awkward seeing him like lead this. So like I said, it's kind of awkward, but it's not terrible either. I'm not gonna say he's like
Like the worst thing you've ever heard.
yeah, like I would say like when Black Clover first came out,
Yeah.
a lot of people were hating on that series. And I can tell why, because the dub, not the dub, the voice actor in Japanese, if you're listening to it in Japanese, which was the only version at the time, that dude was like always screeching at the top of his lungs. And, oh, it was just so
Damn.
bad. And for the longest time,
Wow.
that's why Black Clover was like a whole meme that people didn't want to watch it because it was just like so
Irritating.
ridiculous. But since then, I've heard he's done better and like whatever. But yeah, it's kind of like that where it's like I don't know. I feel like they should have let this guy get a little bit more experience before they threw him into it. I don't know.
Yo, he's like, hey, Eric.
Oh my god, it's like his mentors in Jill, and he's like, yeah, Jill, I'm gonna do it, and it's like, oh my god, shut up, Zach. It sucks. This other guy was so good. The guy who used to play Zach before, oh, that dude was
Mhm.
awesome. But still, at least I don't know. I mean, like I said, I've been kind of skipping through cutscenes, and like I
Yeah.
said, there's some lines that are better than others, and I haven't gotten to the part yet, but I heard that there's kind of like a bit of a time skip in the game. Like after a
Mm.
certain event, it's supposed to be like a bit of a time skip, and Zach's supposed to be a bit more. First he's kind of like a rookie, and he's supposed to be a bit more mature. And I've heard some people have said that like, oh, once he hits that uh like
Time
time
skip.
skip sort of thing, he uses almost like a more mature voice, like to show that he's not a rookie anymore. I've heard it gets a little better, so there's
Okay,
that.
that's pretty good. Okay.
But that aside, though, the game itself, though, yeah, I've been playing it on my PC. I actually just found a version that I could play on my PC because I was trying to, test my PC because, I'm always trying to test it, see what it can run, that sort of thing. And yeah, I could play it in, I don't know, like 1440, whatever.
Damn.
I think
So
it's like
that's like 4K.
just about, yeah, and it runs pretty good.
Mhm.
And yeah, I've just been really enjoying it. I've forgotten that, yeah, it's very much mission based. because the whole point is that, for anyone who doesn't know, maybe I should start there. The whole point is that before Cloud's story, in Final Fantasy VII, there was a protagonist that his name was Zack Fair. And Zack, like Cloud, you can say, was a part of Soldier. And Soldier is like the paramilitary organization in the world of, Final Fantasy VII, of what do you call it? Shinra, the Shinra Corporation or whatever. And basically, he is a soldier. And when he starts, he's a soldier second class. So he's not quite at the top yet. And he has this, commanding officer. His name is 𝐥𝐤𝐤. He's the one who originally has the Buster Sword. He's training Zack to be the most high-ranking soldier or whatever. And Zack's like this rookie. And the whole point is that Zack Fair, he's this really spunky go-getter. He wants to be soldier first class. He wants to be a hero. He wants to really prove himself. And the whole game is about how it comes out in Final Fantasy VII. It comes up every so often that I forget what Shinra's the name of the corporation. I forget what you call the actual world that they live in, their place. I forget what it's called.
It's Midgard.
Midgard, there. Thank you. Midgard is at war with this neighboring country, I guess you'd call it, called Wutai.
Wow.
And they mention that a lot. And here you actually get to play as Zack, and he goes and he does missions, to fight in the Wutai War. And it's all about you fighting against Wutai. But then along the way, there's a missing soldier named Genesis, and there's a whole conspiracy about something happening within the soldier program, and your commanding officer 𝐥𝐤𝐤 gets caught up in it. Sephiroth is a part of it, etc. And it's really interesting because you get to see a Sephiroth before his turn to evil, where he's just a really talented soldier. And he's even kind of like Zack looks up to him. He's like a role model and stuff. And so it's so interesting to see this character Zack and how he participates in the war, is a part of this whole conspiracy within Soldier, and he sees the fall of Sephiroth that leads into Final Fantasy VII. You know what I mean? So it's really interesting. It's a really good prequel. It's a really good prequel, and Zack's a really, really good character. I really like him. He's a really good protagonist. And yeah, it's just really fun, just playing as Zack again. I like the gameplay. I think it's pretty cool. But like I said, it's kind of funny because it's very mission based, where it's okay, go to, the menu, and there's all sorts of missions where it's go fight this summon, and if you fight the summon, you'll get the materia, so you can use it for a summon, and go fight these number of enemies for research for Hojo's laboratory, and go do this mission where you have to defeat all the Wutai bases, and it's very mission based. It's supposed to be almost like I said, he's part of the military,
so they send him commands and stuff. Yeah, but it's still pretty interesting. I still really like the gameplay. It's that mix of if you like we talked about before, and it's very action RPG-ish. So if you've ever played the new Final Fantasy remake, or you've played Kingdom Hearts, you kind of get the idea of how you have to pick commands and use them and stuff. And I've been having a lot of real fun with it. I've heard they didn't really make any changes to it. Because remake obviously has some big changes. This game, they have chose not to make any changes to it because they say it's going to be an introduction to Zack, who will play a bigger part, going forward. So they didn't want to change much. But yeah, like I said, just so far, just having a lot of fun with it. And it's fun just playing on a computer in 4K. And I don't know. I from what I remember, it feels like the gameplay I remember from the past. So I don't know. I've just been having fun with it. Yeah. Yeah. What's crazy is that in this game, which by this point, by the time you play Crisis Core, you most likely have played the original game. That's the implication that people kind of say, "Hey, play the quote unquote sequel, quote unquote, then play the prequel." And then obviously the prequel just kind of answers some missing questions. That's kind of it. Yeah, exactly. What I love is that basically when you play this game, you already know, like you just said, Sephiroth is a guy that's supposed to be this cool guy. Everyone looks up to him. And obviously this kind of answers where everything goes downhill for Sephiroth, at least.
Exactly.
I love how in the original one, because here's the thing, my introduction to Sephiroth was in Kingdom Hearts 1.
Yeah.
Cloud, I was introduced to him obviously through Final Fantasy, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, Sephiroth was a different story. So Sephiroth, I already kind of knew, okay, he's this bad guy, blah, blah. when I played Final Fantasy VII, like the original, it's always crazy that in the very, very beginning, one of the first lines is that literally Cloud says, like it shows like a flashback thing. He's literally a kid and he's like, I want to be like Sephiroth. And you're just like, oh no, dude, you do not want to be like Sephiroth. Like I know what he means because he's a little kid. And this is before he becomes a bad like person. It's like it's crazy how you see that like it's like kind of like the equivalent of never meet your heroes type of thing.
Mm.
Like that's kind of what it's like, and it's crazy that it's just super crazy. I'm definitely hoping to get my hands on this game soon.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why I really like this game because some prequels feel kind of unnecessary.
Hmm.
And I like it because here, like you said, it kind of answers some questions. Like you kind of see, okay, who had the Buster Sword before Cloud, especially if you've played Seven, you kind
Hmm.
of know that there's this guy named Zack who, not to spoil it, but there's a whole reason that Cloud is doing what he's doing. And so you kind of get
Hmm.
to see how important Zack was to Cloud. And you get to
Hmm.
see who the Zack guy was, and you get to see, like I said, the fall of Sephiroth and all this cool stuff. And I think it's really interesting. And Zack's just like a really interesting protagonist too. Like seeing his
Hmm.
story, seeing when he meets Aerith, when he meets Cloud, when he meets the Turks, when he sees the fall of Sephiroth and everything. It's just really good.
Hmm.
And the ending is just so heartbreaking too. Like
Hmm.
something's gonna have to happen if you've played with other games, but when you get to that moment where you actually play through the ending, like it's really effective the way they make you play through the ending. It's really good.
Hmm. I've heard from a lot of people the ending's really sad. Yeah,
Yeah, and actually getting to
compared
play
to
the
like from the
ending
other
is
games.
really good. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. But yeah, that's it for stuff I played. Played Pokemon, played this. And then I actually picked up a new anime because the other animes I've kind of, just stayed caught up with them, etc. But I had heard and seen a lot of memes of this anime. A lot of people are kind of calling it like their favorite of the season. That's kind of like, well, everyone's focusing on like Chainsaw Man or Bleach, like that sort of thing. A lot of people
Hmm.
say this is kind of like more of like a not exactly hidden, but it's kind of like a dark horse they call it. When it's like, oh, a lot of people aren't really paying attention to this, but it's like really good. And so I picked up a series called Bocchi the Rock.
Let's go.
And Bocchi the Rock basically they kind of call it a cute girls doing cute things sort of anime
Cool.
where it's like, oh, you have like the girls and each of them have like a really spunky personality and it focuses on them, following some sort of hobby. It's kind of like that, except not really, because while other ones where I always see the differences in other ones, if it's a cute girls doing cute things anime, there's supposed to be like an excuse. Like I know the last one I can think of that I watched was, for instance, oh yeah, we're gonna get together to like shoot those like laser rifles, and it's supposed to be about the laser rifles, but
Yeah.
it focuses more on them hanging out and trying out outfits, and I don't know, just shenanigans. That's what I would consider that's more of a cute girls doing cute things anime where they're supposed to be getting together to do like an activity, but it focuses more on like the girls themselves, like, oh, look at how cute they are.
So it's like a slice of
Here,
life.
yeah, I would call it more of a slice of life. Like it still has kind of that vibe of cute girls doing cute things, but
Yeah.
I would say not quite because while the other one, like I said, where the difference is where the other one focuses more on the girls themselves and kind of ignores or puts a backseat to the activity.
Yeah.
Here, the whole point is it's about these girls that form a rock band. And basically, the whole point of the series is that there's this girl named Hitori, and I don't know why
Yeah.
it's a Japanese thing, but I guess Hitori Goto somehow that equals Bocchi somehow. I don't know. It's like some sort of like a weird pun or something. And the point is, Bocchi. That's why it's called Bocchi the Rock. Bocchi kind of reminds me a bit of like Comey from Comey Can't Communicate, where she's this girl that is just really anxious and an introvert, and she can't really talk. Like she's really, really shy. The difference is that while Comey is just kind of, just a student, just kind of does whatever, Bocchi is like a really, really good guitarist.
Damn.
And basically she learned to play guitar because on TV she saw this guy saying about how like, oh, it's like this band, right? This boy band. And they're talking
Yeah.
about how like, oh, I played guitar and like helped me like meet these friends and make these friends in the band and help me come out of my shell and blah blah blah. And so she's a little kid because she was always been shy. She decides to learn to play guitar. because she's hoping for the same thing, that if she learns to play guitar, that she can, come out of her shell and make friends and blah blah blah. And so she gets really good. She like practices for a few years. She posts her, guitar playing on YouTube, they say, and she has quite a following and people really like her music. The bad thing is that it never helped her come out of her shell. She never made any friends, and she's now in her first year of high school, and she's super shy. Oh,
Damn,
that
that's hard.
changes. That one day she's like carrying her guitar around, and I guess there's like this other there's a drummer and a bassist, and they need a guitar player. And when they notice Boshi like in the park or whatever, the drummer like approaches her and says, like, "Oh, will you play for my band?" Blah blah blah. It kind of drags her along to the studio, and that's how they get her involved. And it just becomes from there. There's Boshi, she plays the lead guitar. Then there's the girl that's a drummer. She's the founder of the band. Her older sister's the one that runs like the location where they play. It's like a little like club sort of thing. And then there's the bassist that she's also kind of quiet and kind of like aloof or whatever. She's kind of a weirdo, but
Yeah.
she always acts like, "Oh no, I'm fine," and like she's like too good for everybody, that sort of thing. She kind of
Damn.
reminds me a little bit of Fedeko a little bit, kind of like
Hmm.
that kind of like kind of sarcastic, really snarky sort of thing, but like really quiet. And then there's the vocalist and guitarist that they get, that she's like super like extroverted and out there and stuff. So it's like big big personality foil to Bochi. Anyway, the
Yeah.
whole point is that's just I only seen like 4 episodes, but it was just a lot of fun because yeah, it's just about these girls coming together to make a band. It shows their struggles with like writing lyrics and trying to get popular and play shows, and it shows Boshi's struggles with trying to be more extroverted and having friends, and same thing, being a part of a band. What I really like about it though is that Boshi, because she's such like a nervous wreck, it's really fun to watch her like little daydreams where she thinks that things are going to go wrong. And there's all sorts of like really funny animation, where it'll just kind of like switch to a different art style, and it'll be like her freaking out. It'll be like her daydreams of like things going like totally wrong. And so
That's
that's why I
funny.
like that this show plays a lot with like different art styles and different like perspective changes and like really crazy like comedy and stuff. And so it's just really
Yeah.
fun in that sense that you get to see
That
like,
sounds pretty fun. Yeah.
yeah. So if you've ever seen stuff kind of and not as extreme as like Pop Team Epic, but you know how Pop Team Epic uses all sorts of
Hmm.
different like art styles and perspectives and all sorts of crazy stuff, like really
Yeah.
surreal stuff sometimes. It's kind of like that, where whenever she's like freaking out, it just shows all sorts of different stuff, which is funny.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's
It
just
kind of
this.
reminds me of Lucky Star a bit because you were saying that they like kind of hang out with each
Mm.
other and random stuff. That's basically what they would do. It was like every episode would be them hanging out and like being kind of like oh girls being cute, blah blah blah. That's basically what each episode was like.
Yeah, see,
It was just them
I'm saying
doing
that's the
that. Yeah.
difference. Then Lucky Star, they were kind of just hanging out for the sake of hanging out, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, but here it's like there is a goal, which is they actually are playing music and like furthering their band. That's what I'm saying. That's where there
Yeah.
is like a bit of a difference. That cute girls doing cute
Hmm.
stuff focuses more on the girls just hanging out. Here it does focus on their band a bit more. So not
That's
quite,
pretty
you
cool.
know.
Yeah, that's
Um,
pretty cool.
but yeah, pretty cool, pretty fun. Like I said, it's a nice slice of life, a nice, oh, look at these girls hanging out, trying to form a band. That's really fun. And all the stuff with Boach is just really funny. She's just really, like, some people just say she's super relatable. Like when she climbs into a trash can the first time she plays with people, because they say that her she's not playing very well with others. And so she just gets all embarrassed and
Yeah.
she climbs into the trash can.
Damn. That
So
is
that's just fun. It's
relatable.
just fun. It's just like a really fun series. I'm having fun with it, and I recommend it. If you want something like lighthearted, fun, slice of lifey, I would say watch it. So
Damn, I need to add that to my list.
yeah, exactly. Or I think it's gonna end soon. The season. You can always maybe wait until the season ends. I think we're
I'll probably
pretty close
wait.
to the end. I think it's gonna be like 12 episodes. It should end like in a week or two. Maybe you can just wait
Yeah.
and then just binge all of it or something.
Nice.
Yeah. Alrighty, with that out of the way, that was it for my week. Pretty, like I said, pretty good. I had some stuff to talk about, so that's pretty cool. Switching over to the news stories, we only have two. Feels like not a lot happened this week, but the stuff that I have to talk about, one of them's pretty big, and the other one's pretty big if you care about the series. So the first one, as the article says, the title says Black Adam 2 seemingly dead after The Rock unfollows Warner Bros. Discovery and Black Adam.
Oh yeah, I saw
So
that.
yeah, basically, just to make a long story short, if you guys want, you guys can look at the link, read all about it. But the whole point is that Warner Bros. Has had trouble with their superhero movies almost from the start. Like that was the
Hmm.
whole, that was supposed to be like a DCEU. It never happened because like the Zack Snyder movies didn't really work out. And then they
Hmm.
were gonna do like other stuff, and everything just kept falling through. Then they were gonna make some sort of like a reboot sort of thing using the Flash movie. They've been having trouble with that. And then like Discovery bought Warner Brothers, and they end up losing a bunch of money because the guy who runs is an idiot. He doesn't know what he's doing. I don't know. There's been like so much trouble, right?
Yeah.
And basically, it's kind of crazy because if you watch Black Adam, the whole point, The Rock, I don't know why. That's part of the problem too. The whole point of Black Adam is that he's supposed to be the main antagonist of Shazam, but The Rock doesn't want to be the main antagonist of Shazam. He
That's
wants
so
to be like
stupid.
his own thing. He wants to fight Superman for some reason because he just wants to be like a badass and he wants to show that he's better than Superman. And so instead of, following like the stuff that already exists, he was like, no, I'm gonna be Black Adam, watch my movie's gonna rule. I'm gonna bring back Henry Cavill as Superman, I'm gonna fight him. And like he was trying to kind of like push things his way. And I guess because number one, the movie didn't do that good. And number two, they finally decided that they need to like have somebody that's in control of the movies to see if they can finally like get something going.
Yeah.
So they finally put in charge these two dudes called, well, one of them I recognize. His name is James Gunn. He's the guy who
I
made Guardians
recognize
of the
him.
Galaxy, the Suicide Squad,
Hmm.
that sort of thing. But the other guy, his name is Peter Safran, who I don't recognize who that is. The point is, though, they put these two guys in charge, and these two guys are kind of like, okay, we have a plan, or we're trying to come up with a plan. And they're kind of just saying, we're going to scrap this, we're going to scrap that, etc. And as part of their plan, yeah, there's not going to be a Black Adam 2. They're going to scrap that. And I guess they're also going to have like a younger Superman, all sorts of stuff. That's basically what it's talking about in this article. That even though The Rock was really trying to push things his way and he wanted to fight against Superman, and that said that Henry Cavill's coming back, basically it's like, nah, it's not going to happen. And, obviously The Rock is upset because he's not getting what he wanted. But that's kind of what this is talking about, that we don't really know where any of this is going to go, but there's going to be
Yeah.
some big changes with all superhero movies at DC because finally somebody's kind of trying to step in and trying to have like a plan because right now everything's like all over the place.
Nice. Well, I was gonna say nice.
I mean, kind
Uh,
of. I mean, it's kind of good for them to get it under control, but it does
mhm,
kind of suck that, like, oh, for instance, Black Adam 2 isn't happening and Henry
mhm.
Cavill isn't coming back. I mean, that stuff does kind of suck,
Yeah,
obviously.
it does. Yeah.
And then the other news story, like I said, if you really care about the series and if you're not tired of all the spin-offs, as the title of the article says, Kingdom Hearts Missing Link iOS prototype test
Let's go.
set for January 13 to 18, 2023 in Japan. So basically, for anyone who's like more than just casually into Kingdom Hearts, like if you really follow the series, you'll know that before Kingdom Hearts 4, they've promised that they were going to finish Dark Roads and they were going to have a game called Kingdom Hearts Missing Link.
Mhm.
And basically, it's going to also be a mobile game. And it's crazy because like the whole year passed, never heard anything about it. There was no
Except like the
news.
teaser.
Yeah, so it was like really crazy. And so people were wondering what happened with it, what happened with it, what happened with it. And finally they said that, oh, what's gonna happen is that next year, in January, there's gonna be like a whole like prototype thing in Japan to I guess test out like how it runs on different phones or something. And it's different
Yeah.
from a beta, because it's not exactly a beta. Beta is, when the actual you get to actually play the game. The prototype test is just like it's even before that, basically.
They basically hand it to someone and say, "Hey, like, is this like one function working? Is this one function working too?" And
Yeah,
then
like
they
does it
say,
even
"Yeah."
start on the phones, basically, that sort
Hmm.
of thing. So the
Like,
phones even like
does it
run the
boot to like
graphics.
does it like boot to this like prototype like title screen that you can't even go beyond it? Does it like how do you call it? Does it even load up to like where like the quote unquote level is? Stuff like that. Like that's basically what a prototype test is. Yeah.
Yeah. So like I said, it's kind of crazy, but
Hmm.
we'll see where it goes. It seemed kind of interesting that the whole, if you've followed it, the whole missing link thing, it seems like well, first of all, it's gonna be plot relevant because all of the games are. But
Hmm.
second of all, the game play did seem interesting when they kind of show like the character running around the world.
And it was
and like
3D.
fighting
That's
using
why I
these
thought it
little
was pretty
statues
cool.
and stuff. It did look interesting, and it's better than just like like
Yeah.
pressing the button for like cards or whatever. So
And I was saying it's cool because it's like 3D too. It's not just like a little 2D
yeah, exactly. It's not just little
like
sprites or whatever, but
gotcha thing. It's pretty cool, yeah.
yeah, but we'll have to see how it goes because it sounds like it's still a ways off. If in the beginning of January they're barely gonna have like a prototype test,
Yeah.
so that kind of sucks. So that means that yeah, some of these projects are still kind of far off, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Alrighty, and that's it for the news. Like I said, the news this week was pretty short. I think with it being near the end of the year, not too much is happening. Not a lot of big
hmm
announcements. I think people are waiting more to like next year. So there you have it. Oh, with that being said, though, now it's time for the last segment, and I'm excited for this one. I know you haven't watched it, unfortunately, but I still want to talk about it because I just think it's really, really relevant to Christmas. So, of course, going off to our last segment, which is our topic of the week. Topic of the week, I've been trying to talk about stuff that is like Christmas related, or at least it feels like something you would watch during Christmas time. So for this not last one, yeah, actually, yeah, it is the last one of December because, like I said, next one would be like the 1st of January or something. So for
hmm
this last December anime thing to watch, for this last Christmas relevant thing to watch, I want to talk about a anime series called Toradora.
Oh, I know that one. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, even if you haven't watched it, you might at least know about it because it is pretty popular.
People talk about it all the time, yeah.
Yeah, but Toradora is just this really, really special, like romantic comedy slash slice of life series. And it's luckily because it had its whole manga run, and I think it even had like some visual novels or whatever, which good for it. But what I think is important is that it did manage to have its whole anime run because now some of them they don't get to like
hmm
portray everything. But this one is good because it did get to have its whole anime run. And basically, Toradora is just really good because like it sounds really basic. And I guess I'll start there. So basically, the way it starts, our main character, his name is Ryuji, and he has that trope that we've talked about before, where he's like a big, tall guy that has a scary face. That's like a really popular
Piccolo.
trope in Japan. I don't know why.
No,
And so
Piccolo.
he's always had trouble making friends, even though he has like a really gentle personality, and he's really about like he's really nice, and he's really about like he's kind of like a what do you call it when people clean a lot? He's kind of a neat freak. People think that he's like an intimidating delinquent.
OCD.
Yeah. Well,
hmm
he kind of has OCD, but people see him as delinquent. The part, yeah,
like cleaning stuff, yeah.
yeah. So the point is, when the series starts, he doesn't have too much friends. He just has one friend who is the student body president, who's kind of this nerdy guy. And so it's his first year of high school, I believe. And he's excited to start high school, but he's kind of worried because, he's never really had friends, that blah, blah, blah. And when he enters high school, he notices this girl called Minori. And he has a crush on Minori. She's like this really genki, really energetic girl who, is on like all like the sports teams. She's involved in everything. She seems really like chipper and down to earth and, kind of, I don't know. She just seems like she's perfect, right? And he has a crush on Minori. However, he notices that Minori's best friend is this really dangerous girl named Taiga, who's like this really, really short, petite girl. And
Oh
Taiga's
yeah.
really possessive of Minori, and she's kind of violent. And she like yells at everybody, kind of kicks them around.
She's like a
And
tsundere.
yeah, she's kind of a tsundere. And worst off is that so Taiga doesn't like Ryuji, and so they like really do not hit it off when they meet. And worse than that, he finds out that apparently she lives in like this apartment complex that's facing like his room. What a coincidence. That's where she lives by herself. So not only does he like hate having to see her at school, but he hates having to see her like at home because she's like, really close by. And so they just do not like each other. However, they notice that Ryuji has a crush on Minori, who is Taiga's best friend. And Taiga happens to have a crush on Yuzaku, who is Ryuji's best friend and the student council president. And so basically that's where they kind of call it a truce. And they kind of say, hey, if you help me with my crush, I'll help you with your crush. Let's work together to each, impress our crush and do good or whatever. And so that's kind of where like their friendship starts out. But of course, as you can imagine, they end up falling in love. That's kind of how these things work. However, when I was saying that, what makes it really deep though is that it sounds very tropey, like, oh, one's like a tsundere, one's, a gentle giant, one's a student council president, the other character, she's like this Genki girl. And then later they introduce like the childhood best friend that she's really ditzy around people she likes, but then around people she doesn't like, she's kind of a bitch and all this stuff, right? They introduce like a bunch of characters. But what's cool is everybody has layers. And as the series progresses, there's a lot of like character development. There's a lot of actual plot and stuff. And so it's not just one dimensional like other animes would stay. Like for instance, you kind of see that Taiga, the reason she's so like possessive of her friend, the reason she's so like she's always kind of like lashing out is because she lives by herself in an apartment. Like we don't really like find out much about her family. It's like she kind of like doesn't really even like really have a family, and she's lonely. And after she makes friends with Ryuji and his mom, his single mother, and she kind of comes over for dinner and stuff because she doesn't have anybody else. And then Ryuji, same thing. Even though he looks like, oh, he's kind of like maybe like a pushover, he's a gentle giant. Not really. Like he knows when to stand up for himself. He knows when to fight back if he has to. But he's also very caring for people and stuff. And like, I don't know how to explain it. And then Yuzaku, he looks like he's just like a nerd, that he's just kind of like, oh, you think he's gonna be like really straight laced and stuff? But no, he's like really extroverted and he's really like confident. And I remember there's like a scene where he's just like, I don't remember why, but he just comes like into like a room like with nothing but like a little bath towel covering his junk, and he's just like super like he sees nothing wrong with showing off his body. Even though he's like looks all nerdy, he's all jacked and stuff, which is really funny. Yeah. And then like Minori, she's like a skanky girl, she's perfect, etc. But you kind of see that no, she has a kind of a facade. You see she's deeper than that. You see she has a lot of like worries and stuff. You know what I mean? So it's really interesting because first of all, like the characters are not one dimensional. You kind of see that they have like they're multi-layered, and then the way the story progresses is just so good because, like I said, it starts with them trying to be just kind of like they call it a truce to kind of help each other out with their respective crush. But then, like, as they're actually spending time with one another to help each other, and as they bond, like, their relationship is so real. And you see that it's not just, like, I don't know, other animes, I feel like they just make you like, oh, they
rush it.
Yeah, or, oh, they just end up liking each other because, I don't know, whatever reason. And here you kind of see that, no, it makes so much sense why they would fall in love, because the person they originally each had a crush on, it was just kind of superficial, where it's like, oh, I like him because he's the student council president, he looks smart, and oh, I like her because she's like this really Genki, energetic girl, and she's so cute. But then as they kind of see that there's layers to everybody, they kind of see that, oh, I guess what I was in love with wasn't like really real. And as they start spending time with each other, they kind of realize that that's what they value more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it's just like really heartwarming too, the way they bond. Like I said, I mean, they live right next to each other. They start spending time with each other. They're there for each other. Like by the end, they really are important to one another. And that's kind of what I want to talk about, like the whole Christmas thing. I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't watched it. But, Christmas
I know
in
about
Japan,
the Christmas thing, yeah.
Yeah, Christmas in Japan, since they're not really like, Christian over there, they don't really follow like any of like the Jesus stuff. For them, Christmas is just like a holiday. And it's kind of like, what do you do on Christmas? And for whatever reason, I don't know why, because they do have Valentine's Day, but Christmas over there is more of like a thing for like lovers. It's more of like a romantic holiday that you spend
eating KFC.
Yeah, eating KFC. But you spend it more with like the person you love, hanging out in the snow and like going on dates and stuff, right? It's like different. And so basically, everything kind of comes to a head on Christmas in this anime. And I guess it's kind of hard to talk about because I don't want to ruin it. But it's just so interesting because there's just been so much buildup with them trying to help one another with their crushes and kind of discovering that maybe they don't have as much of a crush as they thought, this and that. Yeah. And Taiga, like I said, there's like the whole part about her being lonely. She doesn't really have a family, but she loves Christmas because she wants to believe in like helping others and providing for like the less like fortunate kids. And her favorite memory when she was a kid has to do with like I think her thinking she saw Santa and like this you really have to watch it.
I've
so
seen
it's
it,
just yeah. So when you see it lead up to like this whole Christmas event, like everything has led up to this because, like I said, Christmas is like a time for lovers and like confessing to people and stuff. And seeing what goes down with all the characters is just like really heartbreaking. And it's
Yeah.
really like it's just so hard to explain without like spoiling it. But like, you like really got to watch it. It's one of those things when you watch it, it kind of leaves you with like a pit in your stomach where it's like, oh god, I didn't think it was gonna go that way. Oh, it's so sad. But it's just like I don't know, like it makes you like feel so like nostalgic for Christmas, and it makes you feel so warm for Christmas, and you're like really looking forward to it with the characters. And then by the end, when everything happens, it kind of makes you feel all lonely and sad, but kind of in that good way. Like when a series can make you like have like that much feeling, I think it's like a good thing. That means it really did its job. And this one like definitely does its job. Where by the end of like the Christmas event, the little Christmas arc, it just leaves you like, oof, you just feel
Yeah.
so like heartbroken, and you just feel for the characters so much with everything that goes down.
That just
But it
reminds you that
also
you have a
there's
soul.
also a moment that really establishes how much Ryuji and like Taiga really do belong together. If that makes sense. And
Yeah.
it kind of makes you realize that like, oh man, they really do belong together. And it's kind of a shame that they're only like just now kind of starting to realize it. You know what I mean?
That does, yeah, suck.
So I don't know. It's like really hard to explain without watching it, but it's just such a good anime. Like I said, it's good. It helps that the characters are multi-layered. It helps that like the relationship feels really real when you see them like bond over time, become each other's like most important person, really do fall in love and stuff. It feels
Hmm.
like you can tell like they're their most real when they're around each other. Like they don't have to like pretend or anything. They're like themselves. And
Yeah.
like I said, it all leads up to that Christmas event. And that Christmas event, it's like super heartbreaking and stuff. But if you keep watching it, I'll say it does have a happy ending. But like you have to kind of get there. So
Yeah, I think I'm gonna watch the whole series. I've seen some stuff, but I think I'm definitely gonna like same thing like the other one. I'm gonna add it to my list.
yeah, it's so
Definitely.
good. And it's one
Yeah.
of those shows that it's good if it came out in like when it come out the
Like the
anime.
2000s.
Yeah, like, the anime was like from 2008, 2009. It's
That's like the
good when
same
people,
era as like Lucky Star and stuff like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
like it's good when people are still talking about it, what, like 10, 15 years later or whatever.
Hmm.
It's just, man, it's really good. And like I said, I really like it. There's a reason there's some anime that kind of stand the test of time and people are still talking about them later and still recommending it. Because, yeah, it's just really, really good. And I
That's
don't know
pretty
if you want to
cool.
watch something that'll kind of leave you with the feels for Christmas, I recommend it.
Definitely watch it. Okay.
And it's just really good. And it's 25
Yeah.
episodes. It's a little longer than some anime, but I think it's worth it. I think it's a good
Yeah.
ride.
No, Lucky Star was 25 episodes now. I just remembered. The
Yeah,
whole
they used to do 25 episodes a lot before, and now they kind of
Mhm.
just do like 12 episodes and like a second season of like another 12 episodes. Before it
Mhm.
wasn't that uncommon to get like a 25
Episode
one season
season.
thing. Yeah.
Hmm. And they were very short too, because they would release them pretty quick too.
Yeah, as I'm saying, like it was a season. It was just,
Hmm.
all 25 episodes. It wasn't like a break or anything. So yeah.
Hmm.
Alrighty, guys, but there you have it. That is our, podcast for this week. So our recommendations, I would say, are Crisis Core, Final Fantasy VII Reunion, Pokemon Scarlet. If you haven't checked it out, still pretty fun. Urusei Yatsura is worth a try. Dragon Ball is always fun to check out. Bocchi
Hmm.
the Rock is a pretty fun, series. Really funny.
And Sonic
Toradora
Prime.
is really heartwarming and really heartbreaking at the same time. Definitely recommend it. It's a classic.
Um,
And
Sonic
uh,
Prime, yeah.
Sonic Prime definitely is another good one. So yeah,
Hmm.
all the stuff we recommended or talked about, I think we really, really recommend. And yeah, that's basically going to be it for now, guys. Like I said, by the time this comes up, it'll be like a little past Christmas. So once
Hmm.
again, Merry Christmas to everybody, or Hanukkah if you celebrate that, or whatever else, I
Holidays,
guess.
holidays,
Yeah,
yeah.
just whatever. And like I said,
Um,
this is going to be the last one for the year because next one will probably go out like on like the second or something. So
mhm.
also happy, New Year's
New
to everybody.
Year's. Yeah, Happy New Year's, everyone. Happy holidays, Christmas, Hanukkah,
Kwanzaa.
Kwanzaa, that's what I was gonna mention. Yeah, and I hope you guys have a good one.
Yeah,
That's
and we'll
all.
see you like next year, I guess. That's the best way to put it. We'll see you next
Yeah.
year.
See you guys next year. Bye-bye.
All right, bye guys. Have a good one. Later.